Okay, the South, the Confederacy. Their advantages were this. They, like I said, had strong military leaders. Like their leaders knew how to fight, they had great strategy, and they knew how to uh make things get done in war, and they knew how to lead their men well. They really cared about their cause. They were fighting to save their way of life. Like, while we look back now with our own modern day perspective, we know that slavery was horrible and was oppressive and was really bad for so many people. But that was their way of life at the time, and they were fighting to save that way of life. They wanted to save their plantations, they wanted to save their homes, their farms, their people, they wanted to save their slaves, and so they fought to protect all of that. So they really, really cared about what they were fighting for. They were fighting on their home turf, so they knew the land, they knew the territory, they knew great hiding points, they knew great hills to shoot down from. They knew the land. Also, because they're in a more rural area, meaning they're in more farmland, their soldiers are really experienced with horseback riding and with shooting because they did a lot of hunting and riding horses. So their soldiers were really, really good with those kind of things, which was advantage for them. Now, disadvantage for them, though. Like we said, the North had Abraham Lincoln, and he was a great leader. The South, their president was Jefferson Davis. He was not compared to Lincoln. It's hard to compare to Lincoln because Lincoln's an incredible leader. Jefferson Davis was not a good leader, though, just in general. He was really weak, and because he didn't have strong leadership skills, the whole government in the South was kind of falling apart and wasn't really holding on super strong and couldn't really rally themselves together to keep going in the war. They also did not have a navy because they weren't part of the United States, and the United States obviously didn't give them any of their navy, so they had no navy. Sorry, South. They had less men, they had less supplies, they didn't have factories, they couldn't produce these supplies, they didn't have as many railroads, and so as you can imagine, railroads are essential in transporting goods back and forth and getting supplies where it needs to go and transporting men where they need to go. But the South doesn't have that many railroads and doesn't have factories, doesn't have supplies. They don't have the money. All they do is produce cotton and tobacco. And so they have nothing that's gonna further their cause in the war. So they struggled quite a bit. And eventually, obviously, the North, spoiler alert, sorry, the North's gonna win. The South is not its own country still. So the South holds on for a very long time in this war, but in the end, they are defeated. So those are the advantages, disadvantages, the two different sides. And as you go on, you'll learn more about the battles.